Alright, welcome to the webinar on getting started. This will be a very basic walkthrough on initial setup and is in no way a comprehensive guide to the program. When we get through this, you should have all your basic settings set up. You'll also learn what jobs, tallies, and master parts are in the context of Oil Country OS. To start off, let me show you one of the best resources we have when using Oil Country OS, the support site. Clicking the Help button on the home screen will open your default web browser and take you directly to our support site. And here's the support site in my browser. The main screen has many helpful links. A full suite of getting started articles are posted at the far left. Next to that is a link to download the software, and beneath that is our knowledge base, which contains every single help article that we've done arranged by category. Next to that are a few select training videos with a link to the rest of them underneath. And finally, a full schedule of all of my weekly webinars is to the far right. Up at the top of the screen, you can get a hold of our dedicated support team in a number of ways. This phone number, dialing into that, will take you to our phone system. The email link sends email out to every support team member, ensuring that they all can see it. And lastly, you can report bugs more directly by submitting a support ticket. And lastly, to ensure you get instant help, all you need to do is click the live chat button off to the right here. And once you fill in your information and provide that it is within business hours, you'll be instantly connected to a support tech. And as you can see, one of our support techs has answered the chat. So I'm just going to thank him for helping me out here and then close out. But, of course, while that is open, our support team can help you with just about anything you need. The support site is an incredible resource, and I highly encourage everyone to use it. It's filled with all kinds of information, videos, instruction, definitions, whatever you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and close out of my browser to get back to OCOS. And here we are back on the home screen. If this is your first time in the system, I would recommend changing your personal settings. You can get to these from the Settings button. The Settings screen begins on the General tab. From here you can change your personal settings. Your default location is used to fill in information on several forms automatically, which can save you a lot of time. Your default category is the type of inventory the system will use when you create a new job by default. We recommend changing this to the type of inventory that you deal with most often. Your time zone is fairly self-explanatory. This is used for proper timekeeping in our system's logging features. The default unit price decimal places can be set to either 2 or 4, depending on your company's needs. Below your default settings are your view settings. First of all, window display mode, when checked, makes all of your new screens open in Windows. By default, Oil Country OS opens most new screens in tabs. The next option, if unchecked, will open jobs after you've performed transfer operations on them. The advanced display mode activates a tree-based search function and several toolbars at the top of the screen. This option is recommended for legacy users only. New users should find basic mode sufficient. However, we don't discourage you from trying out advanced mode. Detailed tree view, first option up here, only applies to advanced mode users. This will make the tree-based search window much more detailed, which will make it slower but narrow searches down. Lastly, the final option under View, when checked, will save all windows or tabs that were open when you closed the program and will reopen them all automatically next time you start up. Beneath the View settings is an option to clear your cache. The cache is used by the program to perform significantly faster than it could without it. However, this does occasionally cause data to display incorrectly. Clearing your cache will slightly slow the program for a
couple minutes as it rebuilds it. However, doing this on a regular basis will help ensure that your data is showing properly. So on to setting up your company, your customers, and locations. First of all, I'm just going to close out of the settings screen. And let's start with setting up your company. To view your company and other customers, click the Companies button. This brings up the Customer Explorer as the while setting up your database, the support team will create your company and fill in any information that was made available to them. We would recommend that you edit this information to be as accurate as possible. To edit your company or any other, simply double-click on it. My company is, of course, Archon Data. So this is the Edit Company dialog. The General tab contains the company's name, type, high-level contact information, and some comments. Your company's ID will always be YC1. Do not change this ID as it could cause several issues within the system. The Billing tab contains billing information. This is all pretty standard. You can put in your authority for expenditure, tax rate of the company, billing address, payment terms, and so on. And the Image tab contains your company logo. This should already be set up, but if you would like to change it, click the black X above the image. Next, click the orange arrow to upload your logo. Now your logo is set up. This logo will appear on reports, so try to ensure that it's properly scaled and nicely readable. Alright, so I'm going to save and close out of this window. And now we can make a customer. Companies in the context of Oil Country OS are simple descriptions and contact information for companies you have dealings with. This, of course, does include your customers. However, Oil Country OS also keeps track of companies you buy from, known internally as vendors, companies who perform transportation, known as shippers, and companies who produce equipment or tubular goods, called manufacturers. To make a new company, we simply click the New button on the top bar up here. This brings up the Add Company screen. Here you can fill in the information for this company. It isn't recommended that you enter a company ID, as the system automatically generates one after you insert the company name. You can set the company's type here as well. A company can be multiple types. Say a company both buys from and sells to you. You can set them as both a customer and a vendor. It is important that you properly set the type for every company you create, or they might not appear in areas that you'd need to select them. The contact section should be the salesperson or manager for single location companies, or a higher level executive for companies with multiple locations. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in some information for my customer here. The Billing tab is billing information, and the Image tab functions the same as it does for your own company. The two final tabs that I haven't covered yet are Integration and Attachments. The Integration tab allows you to set additional identifiers for any companies you create. This will allow you to tie Oil Country OS into an external system, onto pen and paper, or simply help you keep better track of your customers. Finally, the Attachments tab lets you attach documents to this company, such as a picture of their yard or rig, or documents containing past dealings. Alright, so next we're going to set up locations. And to do that, we need to get back to the home screen. To do that, I'm going to click OK to verify this customer's information, and then close the Customer Explorer by clicking the X in the tab. So we're back on the home screen. To create a location, we need to click the Locations button. That opens up the location screen. In this screen should be a yard named after your base city, created by the support team upon setting up your database. This yard's information may be incorrect, so we recommend that you create a new yard with proper information set up. To do this, we click New, and this brings up the new location screen. So I'm going to type in my location's name, which in this case is going to be example yard. And here we can enter our name, legal information, and some other info. The type and operator fields here are especially important. The type changes where the location will appear for selection, and the operator tells you who owns the location. So I'm going to set the type to yard, as it is obviously a yard, and the operator is Archon Data, which is my company. So on the next tab, shipping. This tab handles basic shipping information, and we recommend filling this in as much as possible, as this page will be used by other forms throughout the system to automatically fill in information, which can save you a lot of time. That's the basics for locations. To finish a location, be sure to click Save. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this location. And if I refresh, you can see that example yard has been created and added to the locations. So I'm going to close out of the Location Explorer to get back to the home screen by closing its tab as before. So now we're back to the home screen again. Before we continue, I'm going to quickly define a few terms before moving on to the last part of this webinar so that it makes a little more sense. First of all, master parts. A master part is a template for a piece of inventory. These templates are then applied to individual pieces of inventory. This way, you can easily and quickly add information such as size, weight, steel grade, range, coupling or threading, condition, or so on. They can all be pre-configured by master part and then applied to individual inventory on the fly. Second, jobs. Jobs are the way that the system keeps track of inventory. Like materials are stored together on jobs. That way you don't need to track every single bulk joint individually, just put all of the similar material on one job. Multiple jobs can exist for the same material, however. A job gets all of its properties from its master part initially, but they can be altered on each job individually. Finally, tallies. I'm sure that you know what a tally is out in the field. In the system, a tally is just about the same thing, an individually measured joint. At times, though, the system may use tally synonymously with jobs. So, onto master parts. When you get the system, it comes with a small selection of common master parts. However, these will most certainly not be enough for you to keep track of your inventory accurately. So we're going to have to create a few new ones so that we can do that. So to create a new master part, first we're going to click the Master Parts List button to open up the master part list. To see all of the parts that are currently available, click the Search button. And as you can see, there isn't too much here. Now we want a part to keep track of brand new 2 3/8 J55. So we're going to create a new master part for that. And that brings up the master part wizard. We want some 2 3/8 J55, as I said before, so let's use these drop downs to fill in our properties. There we go, basic information is filled in. So let's click next to go to the second half of the wizard. Alright, and here we're going to be able to change the part number, which is what we're going to see in drop-down menus. Since this is new pipe, we're going to replace the 001 with new. Here you can also select a default unit price. This price can be adjusted on a job-to-job basis, so this could be either set to an average or left blank. For now, I'm going to leave it be and click Finish to create this master part. And that brings up this screen, which shows you all of the master parts information. I'll go over this screen in more detail on a later webinar. So I'm going to close out of here. And if we click Search again to refresh our master parts list, you can see that our new piece of master part has shown up in our list. So lastly, let's receive a job so the system actually has some inventory to track. So let's close out of the master part screen again by closing its tab, and back to the home screen we are. From here, to bring in inventory, you'll want to click the receive button. That brings up the inbound truck screen. So you'll need to set the shipper, the company that is sending the inventory under ship from, and the company that's receiving the inventory under ship to. So I'm going to leave those two be for the moment. You'll also need to change the origin and destination locations. I'm going to set both to the Moore Yard and as you can see, the system has filled in the bulk of the information for us. This information is drawn from the location file in the system. So now that we know where it's coming from, where it's going to, and who is getting it there, we need to actually add some inventory onto this truck. To do this, we need to add an item, and from here the Choose Job, Item, or Part Number screen appears. For most workflows, choose a master part number will be the best pick as it creates new inventory. So now this truck is carrying about 755 feet, or about 25 joints, of new 2 3/8 J55. So we created a part for that earlier. Now we just need to find it in the part number dropdown. Here it is. So there's the part number we want, and then we click Select to choose it, which prompts us to enter the amounts we're receiving. In this case, as I said, we're getting about 775 feet, 25 joints, and as you can see, that actually calculated the average footage of each joint for us. Entering any two of these fields automatically fills the third, so this can be customized to your workflow. So now we're going to click OK to accept these amounts. And this will add the job to the receiving page down here in this bottom field. To actually bring it into inventory, we're going to click Complete. And now the system's going to track that job. So repeat that process to add in your inventory. If you have a large amount of inventory to import or keep track of, our support team can perform that process for you for a fee. Hopefully now you can understand the basics of Oil Country OS and how to set up your system once you first receive it.